I have no idea if you guys are hearing me right now. If we are, we need to configure something in OBS. Okay. This is a big moment. Hi guys, how you doing? This is a big moment. Are you hearing me at all? That'd be nice to know. So, okay, so still getting used to the camera thingy because I usually don't look that way, but I do hope you're understanding me. Do you hear the music? So, if so, there's a hum in the background. The voice is clear. Okay. So should we tune up the music a bit? Just at the moments where, yeah, it's not coming through apparently. Let's see. What can we do to change that one here? Because I'm using pretzel rocks, and maybe I need to change the audio thingy here on, where do I have that one? That should be this one, right? So maybe that one? Okay. Any music now? I don't think the music itself is too important as such, but no, probably not. I don't see any audio going up here, so the desktop audio is not doing it. The thing is that I think I get the audio wrong here, but let's see. So it's the audio capture, create a new one in OBS, and then probably yeah, I got the one configured wrong. So let's delete that one. Right. So let's delete that one and get this one going. And it's probably have to go to not that one, but that should be better. Yeah, I see some music popping up. It's probably too loud, right? So tune it down a bit. That should be better. Okay. So if I were to switch now to the coding screen, yeah, there we go. But I should keep track of the little chat thing. Still no music going on. Okay. So let's get the OBS one. Right, I'm streaming. Wow. I'm so freaking nervous now, so okay, let's get to the properties here, because you should be hearing what I'm hearing in the headphones now, and it should be this one, and that audio is coming through maybe a bit louder like this. Tune it up. It's probably a little too loud now. Okay, so we got the audio going. If I ramp this one up, and let's keep it in the green, something like this. Does that balance out with my voice? Very loud, okay. Let's tune it down a bit, like say 40, something like this. Okay, because that was probably too much. Alright, so it's now a matter of finding the right volume, right? Okay. Try to keep an eye on the chat here on the sides. And man, the thing is, Robert, I don't know how you do that. Is keeping track of the chat at the same time when you're doing stuff. That's kind of hard. Okay, so you can adjust the music in your headphones separately from what you send to the stream. Yeah, there should be this, because now I'm just outputting, as far as I can see, from the headphones that because I'm hearing the same music, right? And I've got this pretzel thing, which is outputting to the headphones, right? So I hear pretty much the same music, but then I'm hearing the volume of this app, and then I'm capturing that output and redirecting it so that in OBS I can arrange volume of what I'm streaming out. Okay, so you got chat and OBS in split screen on your laptop monitor on the left, and stuff you're doing in the center. That's what I've got on. Well, I've got the screen. This is my laptop screen, what you're seeing, and then I've got two monitors, one on the left and one on the right, as an output of the docking station. So I've got one screen on the right where I'm reading chat, and where I should be setting my OBS one, right? So I'll move that one to the right and do the chat on the overlay, right? You shouldn't be seeing this normally. So I've got the OBS one on the right, and I can do some off-screen lookups on the left monitor. So if I would go to the displays, that would I've got three monitors. So this number one here is my laptop monitor, and then I've got two displays on each side, both at one on the left and one on the right. Okay. Yeah, I've got OBS and the chat in one, and then that's in the direction of the camera, because the camera is over there. It's next to the right monitor. Yeah, making it a little bit more personal. That is indeed a good idea. So, okay, all the audio should be good then, unless someone complains. But I think, Robert, you're the only one in here at the moment, so that's good. Okay, let's see, do I have anything to share? Here I was looking at your project, where I was diving into using Dive to monitor what the content was of that image you had, of the Docker image, and to see where the amount of volume goes, where the size goes, and that apparently is that 60 megabytes is a nodes part of the Docker image. So. What do you mean? You're thrilled that I started looking into this? Well, you mentioned that on stream that Docker image was big, so I looked at it. I mean, it's basically not that hard. I'm doing this on Windows, right? So I've got in my bin directory, I've got this this Dive executable that I downloaded. At the same time, when I can't remember who it was, but the one who said, okay, have a look at Dive. So I looked at it, downloaded it, put it in the environment path variable, and then I can start using it. So that should mean that if I go to the checkout, that was GraphQL, yeah, it was on GitHub, and then the GraphQL demo there, and I'm still haven't checked out the latest version of what you committed. So there should be the DB version, and do a Docker build here. Oh wow. Yeah, I undid the JSON part. That was the error I was getting. I undid my changes since you committed them here, so let's get them out here as well. I'm in the DB one, right? Okay, so let's have a look. So do the Docker build. That should give me an ID of the Docker builds. So that should be, no, not that one. It's going to be that one. And I just do dive, and that's it. And that fetches me the image. And then I get an output at that point where we see for each individual command that we have in the Docker file, how much that adds, and at the same time you can see what the changes are. Let's go down here, because here you see that this particular step, adding 63 kilobytes, is adding basically the let's get back to that one. So the 63 kilobytes here is adding those. That's mostly the package log file. So yeah, I did wonder what I would stream about, and I have honestly no idea. I'm mostly into architecture. I can maybe show off some of the tools that I use. I recently did a pull request for C# threads, but since we hadn't had the chance yet, it didn't pull it in yet. So the pull request that I was talking about at that point is of course on GitHub at his repo on the core wiki one, where I did a C4 models thing before, and the one that I added was the one that I was generating with the PlentyUML extension together with the C4 modeling, which is basically, let's see if I can wrap that one. I think it was C4 model.io. No, it wasn't. So c4model.com apparently, which is a guy who's introducing a architecture modeling thing on which comes in 4 levels. And it's kind of similar to what Google Maps does, and then you zoom in. So you get to the level 1, which is just in complete abstraction of what you do and where your system interacts with other systems. And the second level is you collapse that one, your system open, and then you go see what the little containers are of which that application consists of. And then one individual container, you collapse that one open, you get a component diagram, see what the different components are within that one little container, and then the last level is the actual class diagrams. So okay, so that was one thing that I wanted to show up. This is the architecture of in C4 language. Now the thing is, it would be nice if you would have some software that would generate these kind of graphs. And if you look at the tooling, there you have one of those guys called Ricardo Niebel, who made it easy with PlantUML to generate those. So now you have PlantUML in a VS Code extension, right? Let's see if I can grab that one. So you have plain PlantUML, right? Which is just the default PlantUML extension. And the other one that he's doing at that point is what you were able to do. Let's see if I can find something where I'm actually using that. So let's open up C# for this branch that I've got. I think it's this one, where I can then say, okay, let's go into the docs, and I've got, yeah, I think I did it here. This is the wrong branch. I need to open up my branch, still starting up. Come on. I usually use source tree to do the actual check-in, check-out parts. Let's see which one this is. So these are the diagrams that I made some time ago. Is this a new one already? Probably is. So these are the ones that got generated based on the, yeah, okay, here we go. So what this does is you describe in PlantUML, you describe the system. So if you go look at the context, you include the URL, which is, gives those nice little icons in different colors, right? Because plain PlantUML isn't worth seeing, basically, not in my opinion. So what you do is you include this URL of his Git repo, and then you can go describe the system like you have a person, you have an external system, you have a system which is within a certain boundary, and then you have relations between all those different parts, right? So the only thing you do now is you just go preview the current diagram, and once, which should be working, there we go, and this starts PlantUML in the background, which is a Java application, and that generates a diagram, right? Which should be looking something like what we have here. Yeah, okay, there we go. And another example would be this other one where we go one level deeper on the container level. You use the same component parts, you look at all the other relations, and the only thing is you say, okay, preview now. And there shouldn't be an error on this one. Is that? Or should we? Oh, I need to click on that one, right? Okay. And what you can do at the same time is now you can go and export these, because these are basically images, right? And you can go export all those diagrams with the configuration I've got set up here, and they all end up in this one, in this directory images. And yeah, then you can start using them in your plain old Markdown files, and that's it. But it makes it very easy to look at what an architecture means, and start thinking about your system and describing it in a very, very easy way. So, okay. Maybe Robert, if you're up to it, we can start describing in a very simplistic way what the GraphQL demo is all about, because that's a fairly easy system. If that's okay with you, right? Is there any delay, by the way, on the stream? Okay, it's starting to fill up here. I see a couple of people coming in. Maybe the chat window here on the side is not clear because the screen is dark, right? And the chat window is in a overlay transparent thing, just hardly readable. And that at the same time, no, I am recording. I was thinking I wasn't recording, so okay. How is my English? Because I'm not native English. I speak usually Dutch. I'm from Belgium, from the Flemish part, so my native tongue is Dutch, and I do understand French, which is the other part of Belgium. And yeah, I picked up English in school, so I do hope that my English is understandable. Okay. Right. Kind of curious on what the output of the video is. What the output is on the audio, if everything sounds okay. And I'm very curious on what the video is going to look like, because I am recording this one. So okay, so basically okay, video looks great, thanks Robert. Yeah, now's the question. Now that big topic comes up, so hey, what do you guys want to see? Maybe I can do a pull requests. Audio is low and music's very low. Okay, because we can ramp that one up. Let's see. So I'll give a little bit more on the mic and a little bit more on the music, which is now shifting. There should be another song now. Is that any better? One more notch on the IDE. Okay, something like that. And then something like this. That should be better than. Okay, kind of curious if one of the overlays is working. It should be, because I've got the stream elements thing set up at the same time. I'm not really convinced about the chat window at the moment, because that's now in white and now it's readable, but if I do get visual code on, the whole chat window is this, yeah, makes it completely unreadable. So I still need to figure that one out, but I did want to have the chat window on because I'm recording this one and I'm going to be uploading these to YouTube, of course, and then the whole context of the chat is gone, so I wanted to have that one visible on screen at all times. The only thing is, if you do have that chat window on, then you lose part of your streaming screen, which is gonna make, and I should have ramped up the font size on this one. How do you do that in VS Codes? Editor, appearance. How do you ramp up the font sizes? That's a good one. Let's have a look. Font size, font editor. There should be an easier way, right? Because now it's set to 14. Do it on 20. It's probably not going to be any better. Oh yeah, there we go. That should be better readable for you on screen, right? Okay. And I would have expected that one. Yeah, okay. So it's Ctrl plus down. Plus and minus. Okay. Good. Right. Okay. So let's have a look at what we can do about some architectural diagram, how simplistic it may be for the GraphQL checkout that we have. So here we have the original one, so let's add some docs here. We can move it to the appropriate repo once you have the code moved to the repos you are dividing it to, Robert. So but for now we'll just have a file here. So let's start with the context, which is going to be a plant UML thing, so the extension is PUML. And the only thing we need to do now is just say that we want to start the UML here and with just one. Okay, something like that. The other thing we need to do is include the little URL that Ricardo provided us with, and this is the guy that I didn't need to know. I needed to go to the repo. Where is that again? Okay, let's go see in GitHub what that one is. There we go. And by now I know pretty much where to find it. That's that one. Let's add it to there. So now I should be able to use those. Let's add a title. Say that one is context. And we have a person. Oh yeah, I didn't add that one yet. So he also added some C4 snippets, so you have some code completion. What you would need to do for that one is you have C4 code snippets, which is just a JSON file. And if you grab that file, copy it in, and you were to add it to, let's generate that VS Code folder, and you add that new file and call it C4 dot, I think it was code snippets, right? Yeah. You paste that one in, save it, then now we should have indeed some code completion. You can have a person, external person, one with a description. Let's just go now for the person with a description. We call it the user. So this is the anchor tag that PlantUML is using internally. This one is going to be the description on the label, and this is going to be the title on the little box, and then you can add a description to the user. Now, if we were to preview that one, ramp this one down, we get something like this, right? Okay, so if I understood correctly, we also have two parts, which is going to be one is the database and one is the server, and those are going to be working together within a system boundary. So let's create a boundary. Which is going to be our GraphQL demo in total, right? And this one is going to have two systems, which is going to be the database and which is going to be the server, right? So it will look something like this. And now you should be seeing those pop up here, right? Yeah, there we go. And we create now a relationship between the database, no, between the server and the database. say just uses that one or calls that one, right? And I see the arrow popping up here, and we also have a relationship between the user who is using the server, right? And that should end up something like that. Now you see how with just a little amount of text, it's very easy to generate those graphs. Okay, would this be a way to diagram system and network infrastructure? Well, up to some point. It's not so much meant to be for network infrastructure, more like a logical how systems work together and which one calls which, and how they work together and what the boundaries of different systems are. This is not the idea is to explain how systems work together, not how they are topologically configured. The diagram that you show, Robert, where you are designing your AWS configuration, and which is very network specific, that one is going to be harder in this one. But it does indeed explain API services and use cases, and that's what this whole C4 thing is meant to do. It explains how different APIs work together, and especially in microservices where, okay, this is a very simple example, of course, but in microservices architecture, that's going to be a bit harder because you have a lot more errors going on, you have a lot more moving little parts who work together at that point, so you're going to have a lot more errors and a lot more boundaries. So yeah. As for deployments, the original C4 explanation, the C4 model itself does have something like describing deployments, which is a part of it. The plant-UML extension in VS Code does not support that. So if we look up, because there's a whole explanation on how this one works. There is also, and I should be showing you that one. Let's see, where is it? There's something called structurize. A structurize is basically either Java or C# notation where you would have this VS Code thing in an actual object, right? Where you describe this one in actual code. At the same time, there's a reflection part on that one where you can say, okay, scan me this DLL or this jar file in Java, and then figure out what the little individual components are which are publicly exposed, and start drawing a diagram on that one based on the dependencies that those components have. We could have a look. So that's structurize.net on GitHub. It's open source. Structurize. And I did spell it wrong. Can't remember whether I cloned it. I probably did. Structurize. I think it was something like this. .net. But here, I must have spelled it wrong. The link should be up here, and was one of the other two links. Yeah, there we go. This is structurize.com, and this is the tooling itself, which they offer for a very steep price. That's the reason why I was looking at Well, steep, depends on what you, how big your wallet is. So I was looking for something free, of course. The idea behind Structureize and Structureize.net, and let's see if we can have the integrated part. Or this is the web UI, this is the .NET one. So what you basically would have is you would describe the same model, not in PlantUML, but you would describe it in C# code. What do you mean, can you put it in a container? What would you put in the container then? Oh, you mean it's set on-prem here? Yeah, this is what they have, and I should be showing you that one. This is the Express version, where he's having software where you do that same diagram thing, right? And this is this web application that allows you to do based on either JSON or YAML or what we did in just earlier before in PlantUML, or you can do it in, you know, basically whatever here. Maybe it's nothing more than a JSON file. You have a couple of elements and they have relations, and that's it. And you generate an image out of that one, right? And he has a software in the web application to do that in a browser, right? And you can have that on-prem, or you can use his one, but there you're limited to just one diagram. And if you want more, then yeah, you have to pay. So the alternative was for me to have a free version of this one, to have it in VS Code, use a PlantUML. I'll express it in PlantUML instead of this JSON file, and I end up with pretty much the same diagrams. The whole thing about the C4 model thing is you're trying to explain how the system works and how the different APIs work together, without. And that's the whole thing. You just explain it in a diagram. That's what you want to end up with. Now, what I did want to show you is that he has, if we go to the home one here. No, I wanted the examples where you do a more. Let's see, was it the dynamic one? I think it was. Where you would have a different view on the whole thing, meaning the whole deployment part of this example. I think I should look down more to the actual bigger examples. There was one for a bank and a pet clinic where you would have examples. Yeah, here we go. I think it was the pet clinic one where he had a complete diagram of deployment, and there it would look something like this, right? You just have system boundaries. You have a web application which is run on Tomcat, which is running on a web server, it goes to the database, replicates to, etc. So you can basically, with the same syntax, you can generate any image you want. So that on-prem thing, yeah, you can probably run it in a container image. Although I've never bought it, I haven't seen him. I've never seen it. I was just looking for some alternatives that were free, of course. So, all right. Now we could go into more deeper stuff, because we only got this one on level 1, right? Let's see if we were to generate this image. So let's export that one. That should give us a image once done. Yeah, that's the same image. That's a PNG file. So now we can add a second file here, which is going to be the second level. That's going to be a container. And that's when it starts to get interesting. As you would need to help me there, Robert, on what the application actually looks like, what we're trying to describe here. Okay. So let's start with the same thing here. We include the actual container there, and we can then add a title, which is going to be, which one are we going to describe? Yeah, we should, actually this is not entirely correct what I did here. This one is already the second one. The first one, yeah, let's move this one up. This is already the second one, if I'm entirely correct. The first one should be just our system. Yeah, this should be the graph. QL demo, something like that. And there shouldn't be hyphens in there. I don't care too much about that. Let's do it that way, if I can spell correctly. Okay, describe the JSON server first. Okay, let's do that one. They both can express the query users. They don't have to use GraphQL. The queries. Right. Okay, you can indeed connect to the JSON server directly. So we should make that clear here in our system. Let's get the context-1 part going first. So our relationship should be, I don't have these, so we just have the user. So we expose them both, right? We do expose them both. Which means that we have a relationship between the user and the database, right? And then we end up with something like this. Now you see that it draws it this way. What we can do is say that this, and that's the whole tricky part with PlantUML. If you underscore that one, you say it's going to be displayed to the right. Right, we can have it that way. And then you see that the user can access both the GraphQL one and the server, which is... So let's add some more descriptions to these. So this is going to be the GraphQL API, something like that. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so now for the internals of the GraphQL. Now you want to do the database first, right? Okay. So let's just make a new file there, and we've got the JSON database as a container, and start copy pasting. Right, there we go. We'll get rid of these. Now I don't want to be describing a system here, I want to be describing a container. So this is going to be a container. this is going to be a container. So this is going to be a container boundary, I think it was. No, just a boundary. Alright. So that should be the one for the second one. Let's think about this one. How are we going to describe this one? So on one side we want to have the container there, which is going to be service should be going, so there's going to be a component. And this one's going to be bound in a, so we get a boundary for a container, which can be for components, right? As you notice, I don't have the complete syntax fluently in Fingers yet, so but I end up with a couple of images, and that's basically the idea. So yeah, we're learning the syntax as we go. The whole explanation is on the website, where I think he described it here. And let's go back to. So basically, let's see if we can get this right. Okay, so we've got we get a person, we get an external person, a system, external system, container, relationship, boundary, and the system boundary, right? Then that's for the system context and the system landscape. So the top one, the context, that's the system landscape. Then we have the system context, so that'll give you the relationship with the external ones. For the container diagram, we would need to include this one, and there you have the container database, and the container boundary. So that's what we're trying to do now. So maybe we should be. It's going to be this one. Is that gonna output as a actual database? The thing is that the container name in itself this of course is not going to work. The container itself is, the name is confusing compared to Docker, of course, because they're using containers as well. I've got the syntax messed up here completely. Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's doing that one at the end. Let's see if we can get an image at least. Nope, did something wrong there. It's a DB one. Doesn't like that. What was the proper name? We got a system DB, container DB, like that. Okay. That should be better. Yeah, okay. You see now that instead of just a square, it displays it as a proper database. But what we're doing here is not entirely correct. So this one should be going outside. Then we have the system boundary, in which these are. Something like that. thing is we have to look at the DB first now, because there are not too many components in there. Because yeah, you're doing the whole thing from, yeah, you're just doing JSON server, and that's it. Okay, which is serving the JSON file, nothing more to it. So the actual code is just in the JSON server, hosting it on some ports. Yeah, indeed, the container thing is throwing me off here as well. Because the naming there is completely... We tend to look, if you work with Docker a lot, then you would have the word container means something completely different. So that and the nerves at the same time is making me mix them up all the time. So you see, you can have legends there as well with the layout, yeah, but that's besides the point. Yeah, the whole C4 thing is useful if you get the whole syntax right, and if you have the things properly structured, because you can put one thing in the other, and there's nothing telling you, hey, you can't do that. So we get that straightened out. So we get the system boundary, container there, and then the container is a container boundary and components in that. Did I get that right? Yeah, pretty much. So this is an example of a microservice thing where you have the whole system and then within the all different services. So here it's a system boundary with containers in them, right? Yeah. And then you would go one level deeper where you would have a container boundary with components in that. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, I guess system boundary, in which there are containers, and in the container, and these should be components. But there's not too much going on right here because we have a JSON server. Which is serving a file. Right? That's a JSON we were looking at. I'm messing these two up all the time now. Server is the GraphQL exposure thingy. So you said we should do the server first, right? Okay. So how is this describing it correctly? Result of components. Should make it look a bit different. What did I mess up? The fact that component is not working. This container boundary should take containers. This is the nerves talking. Oh yeah, okay. Make sure you save your VODs on Twitch, a friend you're doing. Thanks. Yeah, we'll see about that. I may not be too proud. I'm very I'm critical on myself, so I may not like it, and then I tend to get rid of it altogether. So, but we'll see what the reactions are, and then we'll go on. I've got to get this. I keep mixing them up. So. The thing is, how do we? I need a better example of the one. I think we will open up the one that I made for the core wiki and go along with that one, because the troublesome part of this one is that there's not too much in there. Ah, come on. Just a new window. In the core wiki example, it was fairly straightforward because there were a lot of more moving parts on there where it made sense. See, there are a lot of more systems on there, and that way it makes sense to the fact that the demo of you, Robert, is rather small as in little components. Yeah, that makes it a little bit hard to describe because there's not much to describe, right? So let's compare this. External system, our system, relationships, right? System boundary system. Okay, let's compare that one to the one that we have for you for this one. So there should be the context. We have person, system boundary system. We don't have any external systems, right? So that's good. This one is okay. Level 2. On the level 2 part, we're doing the same thing basically, but we're exploding that one little system into something with a container boundary and then describe the individual containers which are in there. Okay, so let's do that. So that's a container level. So we have system boundary, and then we have the container boundary in there, in which there are no longer systems, but those are going to be containers. Right? And we should be using the same going to be using, wait a sec, we need the same ones here. So that would mean come on, regenerate. Okay, so if we look at the first one, this one isn't entirely correct. This is just going to be our demo. So that should explain it. because then you just have the user demo. That's it. But you'll use it in two ways. Directly or through the GraphQL API. Right. So let's have a look. So you have the user system in two different ways. Shouldn't we call GraphQL demo, right? Okay. Preview. Yeah. Next step, you explode that one, you get to the component part, which is then going to display that one system and split it up, and then you'll see where those two errors are actually going. One is going to the server, the other one is going to the database. Okay, cool. So now we're going to describe this little container here. So what are the ins and the outs? We just had it. One in is direct call to the server, and then we're going to be using the other one. It's going to be the database calling this. So, meaning that let's forget about the system one. We get the container boundary, which is going to be the server. You still have the person calling it, and the relationship between them is that the user is going to be calling the JSON server. And the JSON server is just going to the database. Why do I keep messing those names up? It's a database which is using JSON server too. No. Oh, wait a minute, that's why. Yeah, I keep messing those names up. Naming is hard, Robert Tables. Naming is hard. You see, that's where the confusion starts. And I did name those wrong because this is JSON server and this is the database, and that is not correct, of course. The system that we're describing now, which is the left one over here, is GraphQL one. What's called server here is the GraphQL API. See, and that's where it goes wrong. And this database is a JSON server serving a JSON file. And I shouldn't be calling this one. Yeah, we call it DB. Let's call it DB there as well to keep the naming there the same. Right. Okay. So get that DB one you can call directly, and you have the GraphQL API, which is that one. Now it's starting to make sense slowly. Okay, let's see what we have then. So JSON DB, which is the right part of that one, is not what we're describing here. It's basically the other way around. So we get a user directly connecting to a database, and we have the GraphQL one. Connecting to the database. Okay. Let's see. Still something wrong there. So I think this needs to be components. What did I do wrong here? Do I need to specify that as a system? Relationships out of the way. Let's have a look again at level 3, which is what we're doing now. Container boundary, components in there. Right, that's pretty much what we've got here. Container boundary, components in there. Two, three. Yeah, sure. All doing good. So if I've got a new component with description 1, 2, 3, yeah, sure. All good. So what's wrong with this? I don't get that one. So we get a container boundary alias label. Okay. If you don't know what's going on, just comment them out until you get what you want. Okay, that gives us something. Cool. Now, can I get that one in? Oh wait, there's both alias. Let's call that one B1. Doesn't matter. Yeah, that gives us something. So there's something wrong as far as I can understand with this one, right? No, there isn't. Which relationships then? So, by the way, do you guys hear me typing? We've got a user, we don't have a DB anymore, which is the one we're describing here, so that's going to be the DB. We've got the GraphQL there. Bang, there she goes. That's weird. I think we were missing a description for it. Yeah. So we get GraphQL, which is doing the queries to database. Yep. And we've got the label, which is using it. But this one is consisted of two components, which is either the JSON surf one, and the other one is going to be the JSON file, right? And we have a relationship, oops, not inserts, between the JSON surf, which is using the JSON file, like that. That makes sense. Okay. They're not using the DB, they are using the JSON surf. Both of them. What does that look like? Now that looks better, right? So we have the JSON file. This is the JSON surf nodes part, JSON server. Let's use the proper name then. So both the user directly is going to be using the JSON server, and that one is using the JSON file to deliver its contents. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll get the descriptions and the technology, etc. filled in. That'd be nice. Oh, okay. So this is a Node.js. This is a file. So this is going to be an HTTP service. So JSON, and this is a JSON file, which is going to containing flights, and then we have a GraphQL something like that, and this one's going to be the user is from the server directly. That's going to be using that one, and something like that. So what does that give us? Should we move that one to the right? Probably. Yeah. So that describes that little DB one here. So we'll call it DB there as well then. Which is one container, and that container there has a JSON server in there and a file in the JSON server. So it's a file, right? User can call directly, but the GraphQL one calls it already also. Sure, plain and simple. Why was that so hard? Okay, let's do another one for the server. And let's start from that one. I should be changing the titles here as well. Container, this is going to be the container level, so this not can be the B, this is going to be the graph QL at container level. Yep, and there we go. And this is going to be explaining the server. Okay, so let's see. We got that same person. Let's grab that one. We've got now this database as a container. So it's going to be database, database, database. And we're going to have a container boundary. And in that one, and I should be looking, it's going to be the server, there we have the components. And now let's have a look at what this one looks like. So, let's go to app.js. We got a health check, GraphQL, that's a logger. Okay. This is a component, right? We have that one. So we got the schema. So the schema is expressing this one in, okay. And then we have a app listing on ports, etc. Okay. So the question here is, where are we? I should be looking at shit more often, but I don't think I'm that successful at the moment. How is this one finding The actual database server. Where is the link to DB? Is that on this one? Yeah, okay. Naming is hard, guys. Naming is hard. Okay, so there should be something looking like this. And we need to add some relationships. Yeah. So we've got the user connecting to the GraphQL one. This is going to be the schema. So the user is connecting to the GraphQL. The GraphQL one is connecting to the schema. And then the schema is going to the database. Yeah. And that is going to go over HTTP. Okay, what does that give us at the moment? Right, so let's move that one to the right. Yeah. It kind of looks what it needs to be, right? So we've got a user connecting to the Graph API that is going to look up in the schema, and the schema is connecting to the database container, which is then described here. So we get GraphQL coming in, connecting to the JSON server then serves a file. Plain simple. Well, so now we get each of those individual components and containers described in each individual part of the application, described in the scheme in an image, and then the two together should be something like that. User connecting to Graph API. Yeah, should we call it DB? Yeah, it's called DB here, so. Something like that? Sure. Okay. Alright. Unless there are any further questions now, I think I'm going to call it a day for this one. I hope there's something more interesting, because I didn't plan on doing a stream tonight. But I hope I get something more interesting for you next time. I'm kind of curious to the result now. Robert, if you want this kind of diagrams in your repository, let me know and we'll finish these ones up, because some of these still have plain names, and I can finish this one up. Maybe can be useful in documentation in some of those Markdown files, let me know, and I'll do a pull request with a couple of these images in there, if you want me to. And yeah, maybe, and that was the thing that I was looking for at the before I started watching some streams. I was looking at these guys, and I mentioned them on Robert Tails' stream earlier. DNC D Shop. Now these guys have, no, it's not that one. VCM. No, DNC. We should spell shop correctly. Deaf Mentors. And Deaf Mentors, they are doing currently a stream on, well, a stream not, they have a couple of YouTube videos, but they also have a couple of repositories on GitHub, where they are doing distributed.NET Core, which is basically how would you now, with the latest .NET Core technology, how will you do distributed systems, and more specifically microservices. Quite interesting. Code is actually pretty good and clean. They pretty much covered most of it. They are doing JWT authentication. They're doing pretty good CQRS. Have an API gateway. They have load balancing built in if you want to through Fabio and console. One thing that I'm still missing here is the vault, although they mention it here, and I'm kind of curious where that code is actually, because I didn't see a vault server being spun up, but I would have to look into that. I was just looking at the videos that are on YouTube, so have a look at these guys. They are at devmentors.io, and I will be looking into the code a little deeper. And one of those things that I would like to do with these this example, which is just a plain web shop, right, is how we can have that one deployed on something like Kubernetes, or run it on Nomad, and how you would, because these are just examples and they run perfectly from command line, but I would love to see how these run from a more production ready environment. So currently looking into it, and yeah, it might be a topic for next stream. So until then, see you. Bye.